Now, if you're watching this video, you probably like Reddit. I like Reddit. I've used it for a couple years. I've, not to brag, not to flex my proverbial bicep here, but I've racked up over 100,000 link and comment karma combined. So I've been around the block. I know how things work. I've looked into the code, and I think there's a problem with looking at Reddit as a way to form opinions, as a way to discuss opinions. Um, or at least the sole place that you would discuss opinions. You see, when someone with an uncommon opinion enters a thread, what happens if they voice it? They're censored by the democracy. They're censored by downvoting. And what is that? That's negative punishment. In psychology, that discourages future behavior. That discourages them from voicing uncommon opinions in the future, whether it be that common opinion or an opinion that they view as uncommon in the future, totally unrelated to that. So, yeah, when I think there's a problem with that democracy. It's not a round table. It's not a free market of ideas. It's a way of censorship, and it's a way of taming a user base into the majority's opinion, or at least shooing those away that are not part of that. Take a look at the subreddit politics, for example. On the outset, if you weren't aware of the Reddit algorithms and how downvoting worked or upvoting, you would expect politics to be a pie slice of the Reddit demographics. You would expect it to be, I don't know how many Reddits, what the percentage is, but I think it's like 55% liberal on Reddit, maybe 60%. But still, you would expect some conservative opinions in there. But that's not the case. It is distinctly, the entire Reddit is distinctly liberal. It's not, oh, 10% conservative links, 10% upvoted conservative comments. It's distinctly liberal. Um, and that happens through that process of negative punishment. Through, and even if there are always dissenters, there is always going to be people, although rare, that don't care about the Reddit value system, or they don't care about approval from their peers, and they'll post anyway. But again, it's kind of fruitless because when they do that, barely anyone reads it. Because if a comment thread has a dozen or even a hundred or more comments, who's really going to go to the bottom of the page and read that? Not many. Some people read it and downvote it. They just look at a comment thread to see what the most downvoted comment is, and also downvote it. But no one's really going down there to get a rounder picture of the situation. And I think, and there's going to be less of those dissenting opinions as time goes on as well, if the Reddit user base stays constant. There's going to be more and more negative punishment, more and more people dissuaded from commenting, voicing their uncommon opinions. So Reddit is a force of homogenization of opinions. I think that's the last thing we need. It's anti-scientific. If a majority, that's what science is all about. If a majority contends something, it's all about challenging that constantly, and you're minimizing that with the upvoting system. So I think Reddit should not be used. You should refrain from using it, from viewing it as a place of discussing contentious issues, forming opinions, changing minds. I think it's unfair to attempt to change minds that way. You need a round table of sorts. You need a free market of ideas. Any other forum would suffice that doesn't have an upvoting system. I mean, even the medium of 4chan would be much better. I'm not saying the discussions there are much better. I'm just saying that medium would be much better for these kind of conversations. So yeah, I still use Reddit for finding the latest in the various niches that I'm interested in. But I recognize that it's not necessarily going to be the best place to get a whole view of things. I mean, it's just another 9gag in my opinion. It's just another 9gag and a place for those niche communities, which are useful. Like I have one for my city, my university, my small interests. I mean, I think it's useful in that regard, but don't for a second think that it's not harmful in that it homogenizes opinions.